Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Elivaras, a senior player moderator for League of Angels Fire Raiders. Welcome to part 4 of Hero Spotlight, a series where we take a look at a certain hero, delve deep into their skills, figure out which crests, astral training lines, and runes should be focused on that hero, and which team compositions that hero works well in. In part 4 of this series, we're going to be taking a look at the fellow on your screen right here, Knight Sentinel. So let's start with his skills, shall we? Spiral Arrow. This is his ultimate ability, and this will concentrate power to a point of a spiral arrow, causing great damage to the target. So this will basically just be a super high-powered arrow to the target closest to him in the line closest to him. Next, Double Shot Range. This is an active ability that has a chance to proc on every single attack. This usually does a very high amount of damage, especially if it crits. It has the potential to one-shot certain heroes. Probably not heroes like Light Envoy, Dark Paladin, and Zweihander, the insane tanks, but usually heroes such as, like, I know, for example, my Lumia and my Astral Child get one-shot by him all the time when he uses Double Shot Range, and it's super annoying. So this is a very powerful ability as well. If he can get a Double Shot Range and then a Spiral Arrow off, like he'll Double Shot Range and that fills his Rage Bar, and then he'll Spiral Arrow, it's usually a ton of damage. Next, Find Weakness. This is a very potent ability. What it allows him to do is ignore his target's defense by 66%. This is at level 18. It'll scale, obviously, with level, so it'll start at a bit lower, but it can go higher. This is a very potent ability because this allows him to do very good damage to heroes with high defense. So if your hero, say, does not have a lot of HP but really stacks up defense, Knight Sentinel will do very well against that tank and can bring that tank down very quickly because of this ability. Next, Heart Strike. This will increase his crit and critical damage, so he has a higher crit chance and a higher critical damage. This gives him a base, very high amount of a chance to crit and a very high amount of damage when he does crit. His Awaken ability, I mean, the thing is, I don't, obviously, with 49k BR, you can see that I don't really use Knight Sentinel. It's because they're on a female team and I'm free to play. So my emblems aren't amazing for other heroes than the ones I'm focusing on. So I don't really use him, and therefore I don't know how good his Awaken skill is. But from what I see, it doesn't seem to be very good. The thing is that Knight Sentinel, most of his damage is flat, hard, fast damage. This allows him to inflict a bleed. Why does he need a bleed? Well, his damage is not like damage over time. It's not like Nightblade, where bleeds are extremely potent and will do tons and tons of damage. If it is, then I'll take my words back, but I doubt it, based on what I see here. Increase 100 points of damage. Knight Sentinel will do like a double shot range, for example, off the first shot, and then, okay, so if that crits, because it says, like, his crit attacks now inflicts bleed. If that crits, he'll inflict a bleed. But because that bleed's probably not very strong, it's not going to kill the hero, and next turn he's probably going to kill the hero anyway with another double shot range or a spiral arrow. Why exactly does he need that bleed? It would have been much better if he, for example, had, like, I don't know, it inflicts double die. But if it, I mean, bleed, upon the skill, damage over time, I don't see how that fits Knight Sentinel at all. It would have been much better used on someone like Nightblade. Like, oh, you get extra bleed damage, you get an extra bleed on your basic attack. Like, why would you have that on Knight Sentinel? It just doesn't make sense. So I do not like that ability. So first things first, I've decided to switch it up a little bit because of the way his crest will affect his runes. I've decided to start with Astral Training and then go into crests and then go into runes. So starting with Astral Training, what are you going to want to focus on Knight Sentinel? First things first, all of these have 3 defensive stats except for Leo. Attack and crit are the 2 offensive stats that it boasts. Attack and hit, sorry. And hit is something very much needed on Knight Sentinel. If anything, if he suffers from anything, it's the lack of his ability to hit. I see it consistently where if he faces a hero with high dodge, he gets absolutely destroyed because he'll miss and miss and miss because he does not have hits. There's none in his runes, there's none in his skills, and he suffers a lot from it. He does very high damage, but when he can't hit, he does none of that damage, and that obviously makes him suffer. So if you can get quite a bit on this Leo line, it'll definitely serve you well. plus it's the only line with 2 offensive stats rather than 1, so attack and hit, definitely good. The other ones, I would say Gemini and Cancer are on the same line. They give attack, magical defense, HP, attack, magical defense, HP. Magical or physical, I don't really care. On Knight Sentinel is a DPS. Neither defense is going to do him much good. But then dodge and resilience. I would take dodge and resilience over Taurus's parry. Dodge, obviously, because it dodges the full attack, whereas parry only dodges half of the attack. And Gemini, because I prefer resilience, which is crit resistance, over parry, although, to be honest, it's not a huge difference. You could technically fit them all 3 on the same line, but if anything, I would go Leo first, then Cancer, which will give dodge, and then probably Gemini and Taurus on the same line, resilience and parry, and then Aries last, because 4 defensive stats. And you need offensive stats on a DPS, not defensive stats. So I'm going to post Astral Training Lines, Crests, and Runes in the description below, so that if you can just quickly look at the description if you want to know what you should be using rather than having to search through the whole video. So next, let's take a look into crests. So there are multiple different crests you can use on Knight Sentinel. First thing is Fury. Knight Sentinel, through his runes and through his skills, he gets a very high amount of both crit percentage, crit chance percentage, and crit damage. So this makes, because he has such a high crit chance, this makes crit damage very, very useful on him, because this means when he does crit, which will be very often, he's going to do an insane amount of damage, and even more so with these Fury crests. Obviously, attack percent is going to be the main stat you're going to want to try and get on it. Still, Fury with attack percent will serve you well on Knight Sentinel. Another option, you can always use this. It's Assault with attack percent. You can never go wrong with Assault on a DPS. It gives, on its orange form, it gives plus 20? Really? It was plus 20. That was plus 40. But, okay, whatever. Plus 20. You can never go wrong with extra attack. So yeah, Assault, you can definitely use Assault if you're not sure which crest to use. Assault will never not serve you well. And, obviously with attack percent. And then another third crest you can use if you're pushing for like the top of the leaderboards or something is Flash, so you can do as much damage as possible as quickly as possible. So yeah, there's that. So now let us take a look into runes. So which runes you're going to use definitely rely a bit on your crests. So for example, if you're running Fury crests, which as a reminder give you plus crit damage as its 4 set bonus, you're probably going to want a higher priority on crit damage and crit chance runes, because obviously you want a higher chance to crit. If you're running crests that rely on being able to crit, and when you do crit you do massive damage, you're going to want runes that'll help you crit more. And if you're running a build where it's like, okay, I want to crit a lot and I want to do a lot of damage when I crit, you're obviously going to want a lot of crit damage. So I'd probably go for those 2 first, and then physical attack, and then physical attack and agility, and then HP. So if you're going for Fury crests, I would say crit and crit damage focus first, physical attack and agility focus second, and then HP focus third. So for example, when you're running Assault, you have less emphasis on crit and crit damage and more emphasis on just straight attack, because Assault is plus a percentage of your attack. Therefore, you want a higher attack to give you a higher percentage when you put those crests. So if you're running Assault crests, physical attack should be your first priority. And then I would probably take crit damage, crit chance, and agility all with the same priority, and then hit points last. And when you're running Flash, I'm really unsure. On one hand, agility, if you're running Flash crests, it gives you agility. So on one hand, agility could have more priority because you're trying to stack agility. You're running agility crest to get agility so you can attack first, and maybe you want to stack even more agility. But on the other hand, maybe because of those agility crests, his agility is high enough to the point where you do not need to prioritize it in runes. And because I don't use Knight Sentinel, and because I've not looked very far into him, I'm really unsure where it falls. Is it like, okay, you want to stack agility because obviously putting a priority in agility on his runes means you're trying to stack on his crests, means you're trying to stack agility, so maybe you want even more of it in his runes. But then again, because you're stacking it in his crests, maybe he doesn't want agility. Although at the same time, on your crest, Flash is plus, at Legendary, it's plus 40%, agility. So, okay, yeah, I made up my mind. His crest for Flash is plus 40% agility. So therefore, it's scaling off as a percentage of his current agility. So if you want to get the most buffs out of those crests, you're going to want to stack agility in his runes, so he'll get a higher percentage bonus out of it. So agility first, and then probably crit damage, crit chance, and physical attack second, and then HP third. So now, let us take a look at what team compositions Knight Sentinel will work well in. So there are two main compositions. There is a frontline nuking composition, and this is the objective of this is to get through the front line ASAP to get to the back line. And this is because the enemy backline is where their damage is going to be coming from, and you want to kill their backline so that your backline does not die. So the thing about a frontline nuking composition is that during the time you're trying to kill the front line, the enemy backline is attacking and could be attacking your backline. So that means you have to have either one of two things. Heroes that can nuke both the front and backline at the same time. So Bamboo Fighter and like Shadow Stalker, Byron, to make sure your backline is not destroyed, especially when you're facing heroes like Light Envoy, who take ages for Knight Sentinel to kill just because of her insane defense stats. So you can either have heroes that can nuke both the front line and the back line at the same time, so that you can kill their back line while Knight Sentinel finishes off the front line, and get even more damage on the front line through your heroes that can hit both the front and back line, so Bamboo Fighter, Shadow Stalker, Byron. Or your other back line or front line heroes have to have CC to lock down the enemy back line. Preferably random CC is not as preferable, because you never know if it's going to hit a priority backline target or a frontline target like Elder Dwarf, like Light Envoy, for example, is very useful. So this could be, for example, Lumia, who has a chance to use a stun that will stun the two target behind, which will obviously be high priority targets that you want to kill. So you either want very high damage units that can nuke both the front and back line at the same time, so kill their back line, or kill some of their priority backline heroes while Knight Sentinel nukes down the front line, or CC to lock down the back line while Knight Sentinel kills the front, to lock down the back line while Knight Sentinel and the rest of your backline heroes kill their front line and get to the back line. So if neither of these conditions are met, your backline could very well be destroyed by the enemy backline. So let's hop in with an example here, an example composition. So I'm going to go male and female. And we're going to use, for example, all frontline hitters. So let's say you're going to nuke the front line. So you've got Knight Sentinel, Green Ranger, Perrin, all hard-hitting frontline heroes. The enemy backline is going to have a lot of chance to destroy your backline. So what do you need? Lumia is going to be like your choice here. Light Envoy brings a little bit of CC through her chaos, but none of these heroes have any backline CC. So Lumia would be the choice here to serve you well, such that she can lock down the enemy backline while you do the front line. So let's hop into a quick battle here. So, okay, so we're just going to start off charging up our break bars. Light Binding. See, this would be where you're locking down the backline so they cannot kill yours. So now, we're moving into the next round here. Your objective with this comp is to kill the front line. Bam, 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 bam. Front line dead, nuke down the back line. There you go. Right. Game over. That's your objective. Kill the front line as fast as possible. You're going to use Light Envoy Sing here. Nuke down the front line. Use whatever skill that is. Bam, bam. Game over. So there's an example of a frontline nuking where you have the CC component. So now, let's take a look at a frontline nuking composition where the other condition is met, and that's where you have high damage heroes that hit both the front and back line. So this could also serve in your front line. For example, if you're running a male comp, which you probably will when you're running Knight Sentinel, Headless Horseman. He's a line hitter who can hit both the front and back line, does good damage. Nightblade. And then Bamboo Fighter was an obvious option. Right, so Knight Sentinel, Headless, Bamboo Fighter, and Nightblade all serve to focus down the front line. But at the same time, both Headless Horseman, a Bamboo Fighter, and Nightblade can hit the backline to make sure their backline does not just destroy yours while you focus on the front line. So after we finish the first warm-up battle here, we're going to take a look at what actually happens. So here we go. We have the nuke, the nuke, the nuke, bam. So there you go. Their backline would be destroyed, and they have no chance to. Their backline is being attacked at the same time as Knight Sentinel's sweeping down the front line. So Knight Sentinel, he's killing the front line, and you have these heroes killing the back line so that their back line does not destroy yours. So the reason I'm showing this, obviously, in Quest and not in Arena is because not all of my heroes I'm using, like all of my male heroes, are not suited for Arena and will not serve me very well in Arena. And it will not serve to prove a point. So next, what's the other kind of composition you have besides frontline nuking? This is a composition where Knight Sentinel brings down priority frontline targets, while other two heroes kill the enemy backline. So this could be two backline targeting heroes that complement each other, such as Astral Hunter and Bomb Master, or high DPS heroes that can hit the backline, such as Bamboo Fighter and Shadow Stalker. So, if I go back into here, let's start with the two backline targeting heroes that complement each other. So Knight Sentinel is going to be nuking down the front line, the back line, right? The front line, sorry. He's going to be nuking down the front line. So you want two heroes that can hit the back line so that their back line does not destroy yours. So where were the heroes I was thinking like that? Bomb Master's not very well trained. We're going to go like, so let's go Bomb Master. Where's Astral Hunter? He was decently trained, I believe. Somewhere. 76, okay. Yeah, these aren't going to be very good demonstrations because they're not very high trained. But, what can I do? So this is going to be where your Knight Sentinel is hitting down the front line. We're going to do after this first warm-up stage. So if these heroes were a lot stronger, they'd probably kill the back line in like one hit. We'll have to see what happens. So you have Knight Sentinel pewing away at the front line. Right, he double shot range, bam, kills front line, and then you get these two on the back line. Now, unfortunately, because they're not very trained, they do pitiful damage to the back line. But if they were, they would destroy the back line, and that proves the point of Knight Sentinel focuses down the priority frontline heroes, preferably used. If you have, for example, a Headless Horseman in the front line who you want to take care of, Headless Horseman in the front line you want to take care of, and so you have Knight Sentinel nuke down him, and then the other frontliner, oh man, they just got destroyed. And then you have your Bomb Master and Astral Hunter, for example, nuking down the backline. So the other example is the two high DPS heroes that can hit the backline. So instead of having two AoE heroes that complement each other, you have two high damage heroes that, just like Knight Sentinel, do insanely high single or line target damage, and they hit both the front and back lines. So this could be like, for example, Byron and Bamboo Fighter. So while this fight is going through, I'm going to say that both compositions seem similar. You'll notice that when you have with the frontline nuking, you have if you're using the first option where you have heroes that can nuke both the front and back line at the same time, you'll notice that's very similar to this one, where you have backline targeting heroes, high DPS heroes that can hit the backline, where you have like Bamboo Fighter, Byron, Shadow Stalker. So Knight Sentinel's killing the front line, and then you have these two guys coming in here to muck it up in the backline, right? So they do seem similar, but that's only really when you have very good DPS heroes like Bamboo Fighter and Shadow Stalker who do amazing DPS to both the front and back line. When you don't have these heroes, your compositions can vary quite a bit. Give me a second here, because I'm not going to be able to talk very well while I'm doing this. There we go. So when you don't have these great heroes, things can vary quite a bit. Your frontline nuking, for example, as I showed you, could have Knight Sentinel, Pyrona, and Green Ranger with Lumia to CC the backline. Whereas the second comp, where Knight Sentinel brings down the front line while other two heroes target the backline, could have those other two heroes as like Astral Hunter and Bomb Master. If you have Bamboo Fighter and Shadow Stalker, it's obviously doesn't matter what kind of comp you have because they all do the same thing. Bamboo Fighter and Shadow Stalker and like a high level Byron hit both the front and back line. So they're both frontline nuking and backline targeting at the exact same time. So then you don't really have much variety, but when you don't have those amazing heroes, leaving out Byron there, when you don't have heroes like Bamboo Fighter and Shadow Stalker, you get more variety. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I hope I didn't miss anything. I did plan this episode out because I filmed this once and it did not really turn out. I wanted to. I was very all over the place. And was, I didn't like how it turned out. And I decided I'd try and incorporate, rather than just sitting a talking hero over heroes that are moving, just moving, derping around, I would try and put a few battles in. I would like to put arena battles in, but unfortunately, the heroes I'm discussing, like Knight Sentinel, are not leveled up at all. This is a really cool battle. I just want to show you at the end of this video here. Definitely one of my best battles, or most interesting battles. So every time I put Narita behind Bamboo Fighter because Narita is my lowest priority target, my lowest priority DPS. Pyron gets mucked there too, so because I know Bamboo Fighter is going to kill whatever DPS is behind him. So here we can see, bam, we get a kill on Bamboo Fighter, definitely a priority target. But unfortunately, we still have the Knight Sentinel and the Nightblade. And luckily, we do have an Astral Child shield here to keep Dragon Queen alive. So she does get the double. Right here, Knight Sentinel's doing some hits. You can see we have Headless Horseman and Nightblade's hitting as well. The bleed, she gets a double kill, Fire Dragon, and then another kill. So far, Dragon Queen's killed all 5 heroes, and now she gets the finish on Elder Dwarf. So, the epic part in there was when the shield broke. That did, Astral Hunter's shield broke, but she died in the process, which had the bleed killing her from Nightblade. Without that shield, Dragon Queen would have been completely dead because Nightblade's bleed and ultimate does insane amounts of damage. So the epic moment there was when she took Dragon Queen took a lot of damage from the bleed that broke her shield, and she filled up her rage bar. She ulted, killed both. Who did she kill? I think she killed like Headless Horseman and Nightblade, she killed Nightblade and Elder Dwarf. She used a Fire Dragon, killed Headless Horseman, and then ulted again and killed Knight Sentinel, and then finished off with a Frost Scale onto Elder Dwarf to kill him in his second form. So she killed all 6 heroes, and that was an epic battle. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I really wish I could put more arena battles in here, but I can't because the heroes I'm discussing, I do not have trained up very well. So I will definitely do that for the heroes that I do have trained up very well, such as, for example, my Dragon Queen, who I've got up to 157,000 BR. Definitely my best hero by a long shot. So yes, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I would like to say that for the Q&A, I'm still at, questions will still be coming out in the week and a half, or for the next few weeks, not a week, for the next few weeks, while I get answers in. So I hope you guys can stay patient for that. Once I get all the answers, I'm gonna post a wrap up, and then I'm gonna post a wrap up, and that's gonna show all the questions and all of the answers. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers, guys.